Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And now for my impression of Batman. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Me. But we just did a live stream and we went in on the Ontario Rat 1 in S35VN. So you guys have been asking for a while, when are we going to do S35VN? When are we getting some S35VN? Well, we finally got to it. And this is the first blade in S35VN I've had that's been really compatible with Cardboard Slayer. You know, the Cold Steel AD10. That blade is just way too thick of a slab of steel to make it any kind of comfortable to push through a lot of cardboard. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. And of course, the Frenzy 2. That blade is just like 5 inches long, very narrow, and it's going to be kind of hard to control that, so I didn't want to do either one of those. I got this in a good trade, so we got to do this one. And because it's me, and it'll bother me if I don't, let's do our usual preamble. And first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is, and say it with me, kids, tip up, which is the Lord's carry. It could be tipped down, and I hate tip down, but we all live in sin. It is reversible. We have got red G10, and we got thumb studs, so let's flick the stud. And 3.5 inches of S35VN steel. Now that that's out of the way, you know, if you didn't see it, I carried this for a week. It did every bit as good as I expected. The only qualm I had was as big as it is, it did not ride in the waistband as comfortably as I expected. In the pocket, it took up a lot of space, but everything was skookum as frig. It was just like carrying the Rat 2, but bigger, and bigger is always better. So, of course, when I got it, I was told the edge was at 20 some odd degrees for doing farm work, so I put my own edge on it at 17 degrees. And I love carrying stuff with my own edge on it. I don't get to do it often because normally I'm on the factory edge and I'll run it on that until we do Cardboard Slayer and then, of course, wreck that factory edge and then sharpen it. And then I don't get to carry it because I'm on to the next knife for review. So getting to carry one with my own edge on it for a week is definitely a treat, and it doesn't happen all that often. But, you know, with that edge, I didn't know what to expect. You know, some guys said it performs like D2 or OS8. Some guys said it's going to take all day. And with like D2 and OS8, we usually expect around 4 hours, give or take. And if I put a new edge on it and go in on D2, it pushes it out like an extra hour and a half or so. And this thing did about 5 hours and 45 minutes. So after the first 2.5 hours, we started to feel the snag right here on the copy paper cut that shows where the wear was starting to set in. And that snag didn't really change a whole lot for the rest of the experience. The edge didn't break down that fast anywhere else. That snag didn't really get any worse. It just was not happy in that one spot. And of course, that's a spot where the cuts always start. That's where the cuts start, and that takes most of the abuse pushing through it. And so we got out to 5 hours and 45 minutes of cutting, and then the edge finally went enough to call it cooked. Like every cut on that cardboard was starting to tear and roll and look like garbage. So it was time to call it. And the ergonomics did really, really well. This part of my hand right here, it really didn't hotspot out too bad, and the pain didn't start showing up until about 4.5 hours. Like, this thing is very well thought out, very well designed, and very comfortable. And of course, even after then, the pain didn't really get too bad. Like right now, like we just finished the live stream a few minutes ago, and this is not bad at all. Like, this would be bright, glowing red, like spanked lobster red after a live stream under most circumstances, but this thing, it did really, really good with the ergonomics. I can't find a thing to complain about there. And, of course, with it being a full flat grind, it was easier to push this through tougher cardboard than we normally do. Like, normally I'll get the tougher cardboard out and really wail on it for a little while, but it takes so much pressure to cut through that it really starts to hurt my hand. This thing went through it really nicely. Like, it is a great slicer. It is a very, very, very good slicer. This blade is definitely the kind of slicey that I like. It's the reason I'm such a huge fan of full flat grinds. That is my favorite thing to carry right now. Hollow grinds, like, they work, they cut. It's just when you go into cardboard with them, they turn into a bit of a wedge and don't like being pushed through in most cases. If you've got a very shallow hollow grind into a small flat at the top, you can get away with it. Like the Ozark Trail Dropout, that thing, it's got the right kind of hollow grind to cut and slice well. But more often than not, a hollow grind is going to be a bit of a chore to push through cardboard, and this thing, yeah, not a chore at all. After that many hours, we did take it to the strops, and we stropped the bejesus out of it, and like, let's see if I can find a good spot. Like, we are shaving again. Of course, you got the dry skin, but you can see the hair. Like, we got enough there where you could fail a health inspection pretty nicely. So it did really well there. Let's get a piece of copy paper. I always bork the cuts under the camera. It's just so hard to get it right. And see, that time I did something different. I learned my lesson for once. I keep trying to cut straight down, and with it touching the table and folding over, it always hates it. But, you know, that is on the strop, and I think I might have spent 10 minutes stropping, something like that. You know, that is, again, where I will, of course, always stand for a good set of strops with some good compound on them. You know, at some point, I'll have the spare cash to get some clean strops and get some diamond emulsion and try that, the emulsion spray, and see how that does. It might get me here a lot faster. But if you're on a budget, get you a cheap strop, get you some diamond paste, and do like 14 micron and on one side on the rough side and 5 micron on the smooth side. It'll get you where you want to go. This, of course, is 5 stages going from 28 micron down to 2.5, but still, even just going through the 14 and the 10 would have gotten me really, really good and sharp. So this thing responded to the strop well. It's back to more than sharp enough to be serviceable. Not quite as sharp as it was when we started, but still plenty good. So yeah, the Rat 1, overall, fantastic blade, fantastic larger blade. You know, it's a little inconvenient to carry in the pocket. It takes up a lot of real estate. The Rat 2 does a much better job than that. Let's flick the stud on this one. Much smaller stud flick. Of course, this one takes up a lot less space and is much more convenient for an EDC blade and still does fantastic, but bigger is always better. Let's be real with ourselves. And yeah, I mean, I can't really find a bad thing to say about this. I'd love to have a back flipper on it, but it doesn't need it. The action on it's plenty good as it is. So, you know, that was our cardboard slaying experience. I absolutely enjoyed that whole process. You know, I love sharing what happened with you after the fact, and that's what happened here. So all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. We hit 2K finally. We got to 2K. What this means is I've got a giveaway coming up real fast, so if you haven't subbed, please do. There are 4 knives to give away, and the door is closing on that real fast. I've got to do the giveaway announcement video and get that set up. I'm going to do that very, very soon here. Subscribe while you can, and of course, we're going to have more giveaways later as it is, so it's never too late to sub. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. You know, if you've got one in the S35VN, share your experience too. If you're at the live stream, yeah, let us know. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.